started. Whenever bored, you grooves in the latest news. Complex and interesting, take the time out to invest in straight talk wrestling. Get the facts, get the tables, get the
Hey guys, what's going on? It's your host, your boy George McKay, back here again on another Straight Talk Wrestling, and I got a pretty good one. I got a lady who has been all over the podcast scene lately, and she's going to continue to be as July 1st. She was a free agent. She can go anywhere she wants to, and she has a lot of interest. Let me tell you that. Help me welcome NWA Women's World Tag Team former champion, one half of them anyways, the one and only Missa Kate. How are you, my dear?
Good. I like that intro. I appreciate that.
I always try to be a little bit fire with the intros. Got to hook them in the first 15 seconds or else they're going to pass by on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree. I like it.
All right. So, Ms. First thing I got to ask you about is I actually interviewed Maddie Rinkowski way before she even got on NWA, just like yourself. And from what I understand, the research that I've done, you two became very fast friends very quickly, and it worked out in the best ways possible because you held those titles, for just a little over 6 months, if my research is right.
Yes, sounds about right. I'll trust your research over my memory.
Perfect. So talk to me about Maddie Rinkowski. Talk to me about, I guess, meeting her, NWA, your early days when you two were just getting your feet in the door and becoming one of my favorite tag teams in NWA. I enjoyed watching you guys so much. M95 was awesome. You guys had attitude. You had fire. You also were very, very mean and very angry when you needed to be. But above all else, you chased what you wanted, and you guys locked that down for a great half-year run. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, kind of everything that you said, right? Like it's her and I actually, so I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences ever. There's no such thing. Our first days in NWA were actually also each of our own first day. Like it was the same day the first time. You get what I'm saying? I'm speaking very strange right now. But yeah, so each of our first days in NWA were together at the same time, same day. And we like kind of knew each other. We didn't know each other, but we were like familiar, just like, you say the hellos, and her and I are very similar where we're like trying to be respectful because it's like, I don't know you, but you seem kind of cool. Luckily I got a big mouth and not like a great filter. So I think she was just like, oh, okay, like I kind of know what she's like, okay, we could shoot the shit. So it was just really cool, and it's really fun when you have a tag partner who for us, her being in Texas, me being in Chicago, right? We don't practice together, we don't train or anything. So for us to like have that rapport that we could just go in the ring or like just come up with ideas and stuff like on the spot, like that was great. That shows that you have some kind of chemistry. And I think that was a little bit behind the scenes too, again, because her and I have similar humor and whatnot. Just like I always say, like I'm the Chicago version, she's the Texas version, but I'm just a lot more unfiltered. So I don't know. Again, everything happens for a reason, and just that run in general, it was fun. That was my first experience having a long run as a tag team. So that was an experience, and trying to learn tag team matches, and NWA being very strict on the rules and, by the book. So a lot of learning curves. I got scolded a couple times, but it's okay. But yeah, overall, like I was very pleased with it. I'm very happy with it. And when I look back, my only thing that I wish we were able to do is be able to have more story and be able to show more of our character off. Because I think that got cut short a little bit. So, but other than that, I'm extremely happy with it.
Yeah, I would actually agree with you on that. NWA is, I'm a big fan of the old school vibe that NWO brings, but I love that new school feel. So they mix it up very, very well. They show us updated talent. They show us updated skill sets, but they also have that little nostalgic feel, which is awesome. But I think you're right. Whenever there's not a major storyline that you're focused in yourself primarily, a lot of the other back players get kind of shortened on time because they focus. NWA is really good about that. When they focus on a story, they really focus on it, but that's just it. They focus on that one story, that one arc, and everything kind of gets, okay, you're going to get 5 minutes. Oh, sorry, it's going to get cut down to 2. Not because we don't think you guys are talented. It's just that the storyline ran over time. and we only have so much airtime to play with. So I completely understand your vibe and your feeling for that. But I will say, when you two were in the ring, like you said, chemistry was instantaneous. I wouldn't know that you didn't travel the road, that you didn't train, that you two didn't have a history together. I wouldn't have known that based off the chemistry that you two showed. Now, obviously, Maddie, moving on to NXT, you yourself now have your, July 1st. That's it. You didn't resign and you've moved on from NWA. And your post was, I want to say, gracious, but also very short and simple. Guys, I'm not going to do a sappy post. I'm not going to sit here and cry. Everyone who helped me along the way, they know who they are. I appreciate all of you, and I have nothing but fond memories from NWA. And I think that's probably one of the funniest, lighthearted, simple goodbye posts there is. Short of just saying goodbye. I mean, you probably could have said goodbye, and people would have been like, huh, her post wasn't sappy. No, but talk to me about that. I mean, I guess just the fact of the words that you wrote saying, you know what, I'm not going to get sappy. If you help me, you know who you are. I appreciate you. I love the NWA, but it's time to move on. Why was now the time to move on? Did discussions fall apart? Or did you just feel like you want to test the waters with the other companies out there, AEW, TNA, ROH, WWE? Did you feel that NWA, it was time to move on? Or did talks fall apart? Talk to me about that.
So yeah, pretty much overall, I signed a contract deal and that contract time came up, right? And during that time being contracted, I was exclusive to NWA. So that meant I couldn't work at AEW anymore. Which before being signed, I was working both. I wasn't able to work, it was Impact, now TNA again. I love that it's TNA again. I just unfortunately there's a lot of opportunities that I could have had that I wasn't able to have. There were talks about me possibly going and training in Japan. I almost had opportunity to do that, but I couldn't because I was under contract. So when the people that reached out found that out, they were like, "Oh, we don't want to. You're under contract. We kind of don't want to touch you," sort of thing. And which I get. And then there's talks about me possibly going to Mexico and the same thing. Like, there's like little things that you don't think about when you do sign a contract that now I will think about moving forward. And again, at the time when NWA came to me, I wasn't having any other offers. And then once you sign, and then all of a sudden it's almost like everyone's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Where were you a week ago?" So yeah, it was just as far as I know, no hard feelings. I think between NWA and I think we both knew that we're parting ways. So there weren't any harsh words. I still thank Billy to this day. I thanked him for all the opportunities. I got to throw out the first pitch at the Crosstown Classic for the Cubs against the White Sox. So I'm like, again, and I got to meet and tag with Maddie, now Wren Sinclair. So I'm very blessed and I'm very grateful for everything. So yeah, that post, that's kind of what it was about. I don't need to get sappy. I try to people that know. But I don't need to get sappy. I'm pretty cutthroat, like I'm just straight to the point. So except for when I'm having interviews and I keep talking in circles. But no, just overall, I could have sat there and typed out a bunch of different names, but I feel like those people that help me, they know who they are because I've told them. And I try to make sure that anybody who helped me along the way knew that, like, I am very thankful for anything that you've given me and any help and any advice. So, yeah, I'm kind of, that's kind of how it goes. But yeah, NWA, as far as I know, no hard feelings. There are a couple of matches, I will say, I do want to see of mine that they have not posted or aired. So I don't know if that's going to be a thing. One of the directions that I was going with NWA was kind of like a Joker-esque character. So I had what was it? There was a pay-per-view Halloween special where I dressed up as the Joker. Not just the Joker, the ultimate Joker, where I made sure I included all of the Jokers. In that I'm very detailed. So with that, Billy saw and he was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. We could do something with this." So we were kind of going that route for a little bit. And the last two matches that I had there, I felt like we're finally expressing and showing that character more. And I got to be like gross and weird and fun and just for my own learning experience, I would like to see those, but who knows? So I would just say annoy Billy.
You know what? I hope that they air those because that sounds very, very intriguing. I'm a huge Joker fan. I mean, you can't see it, but the whole wall back here is all Batman and Joker stuff. I'm a big
Nice.
Yeah, so from the collection behind me, there's a little bit of everything. You got Deadpool in the corner over there. So, I have a mixed bag of people that I appreciate and I love. Obviously, wrestling being the forefront. And of course, Echo One. You can't talk about anything in life without talking about the Ghostbusters, period. That's all I'm going to say. But when you find that character and you're able to express it and you've got ownership backing you and saying, you know what, we could do something with this, let's give it a shot. And you only get a short amount of time to really dive into it. Is that a character now that you can take with you? Or is that something that NWA might have control or claim over? I mean, I'm not saying that they copyrighted anything, but since it debuted in NWA, can you take it elsewhere with you and just maybe revamp it a little? Have you thought about that? Are you going in that direction?
Oh, 100%. I think that, again, everything happens for a reason, right? I think that was me at that time showing I could do something like that, that I could get out of my comfort zone. So there's definitely a couple things I have on my back pocket that also gave me a new view on things. So definitely I'm definitely gonna use some of the things I use in those matches and just stuff that I've learned there, because it does everybody needs to evolve. Missa Kate, when I first started, I was just the chick that liked to wrestle in bands, I was kind of like a skater chick. And then from there, you just kind of see me grow. I'm like, I'm getting more experience as a wrestler. And then now I'm getting a little bit more sassy and my attitude's coming out and I'm realizing who the hell I am. So with that, I'm also fully aware that, I might have a couple screws loose here and there. So, I mean, that might come out in matches every once in a while, right? Or, maybe I'm just like perfectly imperfect. You can't spell imperfect without perfect, right?
Absolutely can. Listen, I'm imperfectly perfect in so many ways. I've transitioned or story arc in my life. I want to say my teens and my childhood. Childhood was not the greatest. Teens was very, very rough in terms of experimentation, troublemaking. There was a few jail cells in my time, shall we say. And then, I met my wife to be at the time. We weren't married, but we got married in our 20s. I welcomed my first daughter, still experiencing a little bit of that phase of not wanting to give up being young and stupid, but realizing that I've got a life to take care of. And then my 30s hit and onset depression and all these things kind of set in. And the last 5 years have really been growing, evolving. So I'd like to say my 30s was a mixed bag of chaos of really finding who I am, but now almost being 41, I found that person and it's made me a better husband, a better father, a better all around human being. And I will say this, it's made me a better podcast host because I started this podcast at 32. It's almost going on its 9th year. And it's been a struggle. Only recently, the last 2 or 3 years, I've really started to experience that grinding success. But the grind
Nice.
of developing a podcast is much like the grind of finding out who you are in and out of that wrestling ring. Because a lot of who you are in that ring, you can have fun, you can do things, you can hit people, and it's legal. It's absolutely 150% legal. But then you get out of that
Now
ring.
you know why I do it.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. But then you get out of that ring, and it's sometimes in a way, not so much the grappling and the violence, but it's hard to turn off who you are in the ring sometimes. Do you find that a challenge? I mean, a lot of people tell me, oh, my character's just me turned up to 100, but I've never asked, how hard is it to turn it off? Like when you step out of that ring and you have a crazy match, you just go fucking ape shit and it's awesome and everything's running at 1,000. Then you go behind the curtain and you're supposed to just switch off Missa. It's not that easy. It's not that, it can't be that easy. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, so no, I 100% agree. And congratulations and thank you for sharing that with me. Good for you.
Thank you.
Round of applause. No, but seriously, take that. That's great for you. So yes, as Missa Kate, right? Like as I said, evolving. Missa Kate, the character, and as she grows, is kind of a mixture of, again, parts of me maybe that I don't like so much, parts of me that um I have been in the past. Again, luckily I didn't see any jail cells, but just missed them. No, but no, but there's like parts of me in the past that weren't the greatest person, and mixture with people that I surrounded myself with weren't also the best people. So I take a lot of that and I put that into my character. So I get a good mix of things I don't like about people, things that I don't like about myself, and then try to turn it up and still try to make it entertaining. So, but you'll never know what's real and what's not, right? So that's the fun part. That's a fun part for you trying to figure out. So is this really her? Or is she messing around? You'll never know. But yeah, as far as turning it off, um, but and you could attest to this. I'm sure you felt this way when you found your wife and you found, your new family. Who you surround yourself with is just such a, because it's so important, pretty much. It's because who you surround yourself with is they're gonna keep you accountable. They're gonna make sure that you're on your A game. They're gonna be real with you, be like, hey, that's not cool. Um, and those are the people that I now surround myself with, and I think that helps me keep me grounded, and it keeps me from going off the deep end. I know it does keep me from going off the deep end. So I'm very blessed. Again, and you're gonna hear me say that a million times because I am. So yes, when I go through the curtain, like I now have a better understanding of um Melissa versus Missa Kate, right? Um, because there was a time where, yeah, I was just like Missa all the time, and and don't get me wrong, I'm fantastic, but I don't even want to be around me all the time. um, so there's like even like little things that I do. So I keep my Facebook very private. And those are like my real friends and family. So I'm like, okay, this is Melissa. This is what Melissa's doing in her life. And then you get like Instagram and Twitter, which is like Missa Kate. So my work, right? And TikTok. Well, TikTok's more like blurring the lines a little bit, but um, yeah, physically seeing the differences, like, all right, this is Melissa's, this is Missa's, that helps a lot too. Because now I don't have my work family. I mean, of course, unless we have that good relationship, but I don't have that work family on my Facebook. I have my actual friends and family. So that's something, yeah. It's definitely, like I said, the best advice that I could ever give is make sure you keep your circle strong. Um, because when you come through that curtain, they're the ones that are going to check you.
Mhm. Listen, there's been so many times I wanted to hang it up. I told my wife, that's it, I'm selling everything. I just want to get rid of it. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And she goes, well, that's just stupid. And I go, well, that's hurtful. And then she goes, well, suck it up. It is. You have to keep going. You're too good at what you do. You have so much fun and passion for it. Don't give it up. So it's the same thing. Accountability, right? That's what we're talking
Yep.
about. Accountability. Now I want to talk about something cool that just dropped a couple hours ago, and I only watched a little bit because I was at work. So it's hard to watch something at work and have to finish your work. So you have to finish your work, and when your boss isn't around, you pull it back up the screen. But you sat down with Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp. That was pretty awesome. And that interview literally just dropped this morning. And from what I did watch, you talked a lot about branching out, a lot about those missed opportunities, a lot about the fact that you missed out on Mexico, you missed out on being able to continue your working relationship with TNA and with AEW. But I want to dive deeper into that just a little bit, because those who haven't seen the interview may be checking out mine and maybe Straight Talk Faithful, and if they are, we thank you guys so much. But knowing that NWA, there's been this forbidden door thing for a while. It's been happening on all circles. Everyone's exchanged talent. Everyone's dropping talent. And I mean, WWE and TNA have a working relationship. AEW and TNA had a working relationship years ago. NWA and AEW had a working relationship. Hello, Thunder Rosa. That was all a thing. They defended the NWA Women's Championship on AEW television in an AEW. So why was it so hard being under contract, not being able to share the talent or broaden, especially if you weren't being used on a consistent basis, which I know some of the roster doesn't get used on a full-time basis. So you had opportunities to, I mean, could you still wrestle on the indies, or were you not even allowed to touch the indies?
So yes, I was always allowed. The indies were always something that was clear. I can do. The only thing the only I guess I was exclusive to NWA when it came to TV. So any other company that was televised, I couldn't work for them. So could I have technically gone to Japan and Mexico? Possibly, but realistically, no, it wasn't going to happen because of my obligations here and because of it both, you know, parties, you know, they're like, it's a business. We need you where we need you. You know, we can't half-ass you. Which I would have tried to find a way to make it work, but it is what it is, right? Everything happens for a reason. So yeah, indies were something that I always had that was my control. The only downfall to it though was NWA would randomly throw dates and be like, "Hey, all right, this is a new date," and we would get them. I think the most advanced wasn't. We started getting more advanced dates probably recently. Actually, I would say because when I first signed and when I was first there, they would be like, "Oh, a month." There's a couple times where it's like, "Oh, in a week," you know. And at that time, I'm like, "Well, I have these other bookings, you know, like I can't. I gotta cancel these now because again, I'm obligated to be here for NWA." So that kind of, and again, understandably, rubbed companies the wrong way because they can't rely on somebody that's not going to be there. Again, their business. I'm not going to be upset at that. Um, I mean, it sucks for my business now. Hurts my pocket a little bit in my area for growth, but now coming out of that, I now have that opportunity to build those relationships again, hopefully, and just move forward and see where we go. So that's what I'm excited for the most. Um, you know, it's great being signed and being exclusive to somewhere. Um, it's just a matter of, okay, if this is like how you said, like, is this something I'm gonna be used on a regular basis? Is this something? Because again, I'm here. I'm gonna give you my all. That's otherwise I wouldn't be there, right? So let me just like let me do my job. I want to do my job. I am like I love doing this. So um and if not, then well, that needs to be discussed because if you're not gonna let me do my job, I need to go do that somewhere else. Like, yes, it's a business, but I need to do what's best for me, and what's best for me is being able to tell stories. Because that's what makes me happy. That's why I started wrestling. So um I'm not anybody's I'm not a rat in the cage. No, I was kidding. That was a bad.
Pun, complete pun right there. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. You know what? You and I have the same sense of humor. My humor is very dry. I am unfiltered. My mouth gets me in consistent trouble all the time. So when you said all that stuff, that's why I was laughing a little bit because I feel you. I feel you on so many different levels, my dear. I feel like you and I are going to become very, very fast friends, 150%.
I
Now,
mean, you're wearing the hat, so I'm like, you know, Jordan, we got you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm the gear head to toe, other than just a plain white t-shirt, because plain white t-shirts are perfect as long as they're not stained. And I stain a lot. I have a whole drawer full of shirts I can't wear anymore because they're all stained. So
Uh-oh.
even with my coffee right
You
now,
mean your wife didn't make you throw those out yet?
listen, okay, listen. My wife doesn't make me throw out everything. I have my own decisions, man. Okay, you know what? Don't judge me. So okay, so let's get back on track here for a second. I want to talk to
Yeah.
you about the fact is that you were kind of, like you said, you were obligated for NWA for TV dates. Now that you
Yes.
don't have those obligations anymore, the world is your oyster. But in the same aspect, do you feel like it's hindered you from being tied down again? Do you feel like if you were to get signed by TNA, to get signed by AEW, to possibly maybe test the waters at NXT, which obviously we know once you go to NXT, your indie career is over. You are WWE at that point. But if you were to go to TNA, where they do allow their roster to explore the indies, if you were to go to AEW, where they do allow some of their roster to explore the indies, or even ROH, if you're on ROH, you have a chance to go on the indies if you'd like to full time as well. Does that hinder you from possibly signing on a dotted line again, knowing that you're obligated to show up on TV when they require you, and therefore it may help hinder some of those relationships you're trying to rebuild again? I'm not trying to get you in any hot water, but I'm just trying to figure out the answer.
No, of course. It's definitely a thought in my head. And I think I don't know when the next, and again, I'm not being cocky. I just have confidence in myself. I don't know when the next contract's going to come across. I don't know who it's going to be. Um, but I know it's going to happen when it's meant to. And that's why right now my goal is to grind and do everything that I can on the indies, wrestle anybody and everybody that I can. Try to have fun, try to experiment, figure out my character more. stuff like that. Try to see if I can help other people, learn from other people, just the whole shebang, right? So my goal is to try to do as much of that as possible before signing somewhere again. And even when that time comes, it will definitely be a slightly more mature conversation. Again, with NWA, that was my first contract. So I was a kid in a candy shop. Like, oh my God, I got my first wrestling contract, all that fun stuff. Where now it's like, because I had it and I'm like, okay, now I see what did I like, what did I not like. Again, there are places that I'm not going to have the power on that. They're going to be like, look, it's either you sign this shit or you don't, which again, I fully understand. And when that comes down to it, it's my decision, right? That's their decision. But again, I will never have an issue signing somewhere that fully sees the potential and the heart that I have for this. And I guess that's what it comes down to. If I feel that that relationship's going to be strong and they know that I'm not bullshitting them when I say like, hey, I want to do something great for this company. I want to entertain, like, give me something. Like I'm here to work. They know that, they feel that, then I have no problem doing that. And that wouldn't be hindering me at all because I'm setting out what I'm meant to do.
I love that. I think that answer is awesome. It's not a hindrance. It's the fact that I can use that as a strength and let you know that I will give you my all, but there has to be, clear-cut instructions. And I feel like every company has their own different way of doing the organizational skills. Like you mentioned, TV dates are a must, but I feel like some companies might be able to organize certain things just a wee bit better. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm not shitting on anybody because I don't know what goes on behind the curtain, guys. As much as I'd like to think I do, I don't. I just enjoy talking to talent and wrestlers and getting to know the personal side mixed with the wrestling side. That's what it is for me. These are always great conversations. I'm not going to sit here and be like, so when you grew up, what was your favorite moment in wrestling? How did you get into? No. I already, in doing my research, I know these things because you've done enough interviews where you said those answers. I don't need to ask those questions. So my next big question is, and we've got a few more minutes left, so a couple more questions. I'll let you go enjoy your Friday evening because God knows you don't want to spend all of your Friday with me. I mean, as much as we're clicking on all cylinders here, the friendship is brewing. I know you don't want to stare at my face for the next 6 hours. I totally understand it. I get it.
I've seen worse faces, so you're okay.
Okay, guys, that's huge for me. What she's basically saying is that I'm in like the top 50. That's good. I'll take it. All right. You know what it is? It's the dimples. See how look at them. They're so adorable.
Yep, there you go.
As my daughter says, they're very pinchable. That's what she tells me.
You do have very pinchable cheeks. Yeah, I can see it.
Thank you very much. So can my grandma. That's why look how red it goes so easily.
My grandpa used to do that to me too. My he came from Macedonia, so Yugoslavia.
Okay.
And it was like again European thing. Like I don't know if you've ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Closest thing. One of my favorite movies. Little bit of my childhood. So
the Windex?
Yeah, it's just
was the Windex part of your childhood?
I wasn't around for that part, but I will say yes, my grandfather did believe in the Windex. It is a thing. It is honestly a thing. That's why it was in the movie. Yes, there. Oh my God. Okay, that's a whole different conversation for a different day. My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I love it. So, but yeah, no, my grandpa used to do that to me too, and it's just like when I met his siblings, they're just. And I just remember being a kid, like, oh my God, this sucks. Like, get off of my face.
You're going home and you're rubbing. You're like, oh, I gotta get feeling back in these guys.
Yeah, so now it's like when people are like trying to be, like some type of way with me, I'm like, it's fuck away from me.
PTSD
like just out of
on the
reaction. I don't mean to be. It's just kind of like, bro, like back up. Like
just give me my space, please. Give me my
6
space.
feet. Like
yeah, we're still in the COVID period, people.
Yeah.
So Slammiversary is coming around the corner. I know
Yes.
that Sean Ross Sapp interview, you definitely have feelers out for TNA. Have there been discussions? Have there been discussions with any of these conversations? Have you contacted them? Have they contacted you? Not even TNA, everyone in general. Wherever you feel like dipping your toe into next, whatever pool you feel like stepping into. Have there been conversations? And are there conversations happening as we speak?
I will say, so the day that I posted myself no longer being a part of the NWA, and then the following day, I kind of took, I will say, I keep saying like a couple days, but I almost took that full week kind of to myself. And I will say Jordan my agent, has been amazing, and he handled everything so gracefully, and again, I appreciate him so much for it. He did a good job of letting me know what was going on, but being like, okay, I know you need your space right now. So very thankful for him. But yes, I will say he worked very, very hard. And I have also had a couple of discussions and conversations with some people. Um, so we will see where those conversations lead. It looks pretty promising. Again, it's just I think logistics and just finding the right spot for me. Which I'm like, I'm Missa. You could put me anywhere, and I'm pretty universal. I like to think like I'll figure it out. So, but no, I'm pretty excited. I don't know what's gonna happen. Um, but I just know whatever is gonna happen is meant to be to happen. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think my final question, I think this may be a good way to lay out before I get you to do the shout out for Straight Talk, because we got to let people know that you just had a kick-ass conversation with me. But before we do that, seeing the business side of pro wrestling, when you were just a fan, like when I'm a fan, but now I'm also in the business myself. I'm not anywhere the caliber you are. I do color commentating. I shit talk people. I like heels. I despise the baby faces. That's who I am. That's what I do. And I do it here in my local indie scene, and I have a lot of passion and pride for that. Plus the podcast
love it.
where I get to sit down with amazing talents like yourself. But do you feel like the business side of it, experiencing that now, has hindered your passion and your love for wrestling? I mean, yes, we all know pro wrestling is a business, but at one point in time, you were a fan. You just loved it for what it was. But experiencing that other side you never got to see, has it made you more guarded?
Um, I will say there was a time that it was really hard. It was a big wake up call. Again, I was a big wrestling nerd for as long as I could remember, and I would before I was able to even set foot in the ring, I would try to find different sports. Like I try to find what wrestlers did. Um, except for catch wrestling's the only thing I didn't do, which didn't make sense to me, but I did everything else from figure skating, gymnastics, dance, like soccer, basketball, softball, you name it. Trying to prepare me like to get me ready to be a wrestler. So, um, while that was going on, I was also listening to a lot of podcasts and interviews of people. And one thing that they always said that stuck with me, and they always said, "Oh, the wrestling's only the 10% of it," and I'd be like, there's no way. There's no way. Like they're full of crap." And it's crazy once you get into it. And now that's something that was I remember there's a certain time frame in my career and in my life like that was playing in my head. I was like, holy crap, it's true. The wrestling's only 10% of it. And there was like a adjustment period, right? But again, I think that it comes down to maturing in any field that you're in. Anything that you're passionate about, you have to grow, you have to learn. And again, it's a business. And that was something where I had to realize I had to get out of I had to stop being a kid in a candy shop. Be like, all right, put the adult pants on. So, um, but I still get to be a kid in the ring, and that's what matters. John Cena is my man's my favorite of all time. Um, he, I think he's someone that I look up to, and a lot of interviews that I've heard him say have also said that when he says it's time to go to work, when he goes in there, he's not really working. That's his time to play. And it's like everything that he does leading up to that, all the business decisions, all of the interviews, all of the politics, like all of that is worth it when you're in the ring and you have people interested in what you're doing. Either they're cheering or booing you, you have them in the palm of your hands. And that's a feeling that, again, only some of us experience. I've been very blessed that I have been given a gift to be able to do this. So yeah, it's definitely so yes, to answer your question, my long-winded answer, there was a time that it was making it sour for me a little bit, but um I love this too much and I put too much into this, and it just made me respect it more. I kind of just realized I like to say I was just being a baby, honestly, because I'm like, I'm physically I'm very capable, and for all of the as we like to say, we weren't the best children back in our days. out of so much stuff that I've put my body through or I've been through, for me to be here and be in as healthy as I am and have the opportunities that I do, I don't have a reason to complain. So if I gotta deal with some bull crap along the way, so be it. That's kind of life, right? We all gotta. You're never gonna know being happy if you don't have to if you don't experience the sad and the crappy parts. So you won't appreciate it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that's the best way to finish this conversation off. My dear, you and I have talked a lot about during this 45 minutes or so maturity. We've talked a lot about growth. We've talked a lot about evolution. And you know what? You said it the best. It's time to put on, your adult pants, which sucks. Sometimes you just want to put on shorts and you just want to scrape your knee.
That's what my Powerpuff Girl shorts on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Sometimes you just want to
Scooby
sit.
Doo.
Yeah, man. You just want to sit there and you just want to go and do things where it's easier, where you could wake up and fake sick from school so you don't have to go. But now,
Oh, it
now
was a
you
good
got,
day.
yeah, we have to grow and we have to experience the rough times to get to those good points, those core memories that make us who we are and help us develop and become stronger people. So, you know what? Even myself being in this world of podcasts, constant rejections from wrestlers where they say, oh, yeah, I'll do it. And then, they get busy and they can't. And I understand that. Or when it's a wrestler comes out and says, hey, man, I'm not doing podcast interviews right now. Or, hey, man, this is my fee. And it's like, I got a family to take care of. I can't sometimes afford those fees. So it's difficult. And you just got to roll with the punches. And no matter how many times you get discouraged, like you said, it's that circle that'll check you. And it's that circle that'll help you keep forward. So, my dear, you got a great team behind you. Success is definitely on the horizon. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see where Missa Kate finds herself next. That's what I'm excited about the most. And I feel like this is a great conversation. I feel like the world is going to be very excited with this conversation that you and I had. They're going to see the laughs. They're going to see the passion. They're going to see all of the great things that we discussed. And I feel like you should say, hey, everyone, hey, world, wake up and subscribe to Straight Talk Wrestling because this guy is no joke. And I had a great conversation.
All right, you ready for it?
Yes.
All right. All right, we gotta do the Sharpay thing where it's like from High School Musical. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you ready, Missa Kate, Chicago sweetheart here, and we had a really good time. We really enjoyed ourselves, giggled a little bit. We talked some shit. So if I were you, I would definitely subscribe to Straight Talk.
Fire. Chicago sweetheart, the one and only former NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. Missa Kate, thank you so much. And I cannot wait to see where your journey goes to next. And I know that your star is just going to shine brighter because, my dear, you are too good. And I hope that that Joker character comes back in some shape or form because it sounds very intriguing. I don't know exactly who played it, but it sounds very, very intriguing. And when that character does happen and it does appear, you got to come back on Straight Talk. We got to do this all over again.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down. A year from now, mark it on the calendar.
Done. 100% scratched off, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you next week. Peace. Thank you so much for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw today, please feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our future videos and content. Also, you could follow us on all social media platforms. On X at _Straight Talk. On Facebook and Instagram at Straight Talk Wrestling. On TikTok at Straight_Talk_Wrestling. And of course, you could follow us on Podbean,